But we are going to witness another one. The rains are coming and we shall be having flood. What are the mitigation measures that the government has put in place? Those are the stories that the stories of hope that Kenyans want to read. But be it as it may, it is something that we cannot avoid.
Now, a story that cuts across both papers, a huge development in Sudan, whereby President Omar al-Bashir was ousted, and now we're looking at a situation where the country might be in military rule for the next 2 years. Now, this followed protests that took place for weeks, and a lot of deaths actually happened as the citizenry of Sudan tried to, push for change in regime. So this story has been given prominence on the Daily Nation as well as on the Standard. What do you think of the coverage?
I think for me that is quite timely, and the ouster of this particular Omar al-Bashir, to me, I think has been long overdue. We saw it coming, and I knew that it was just a matter of time when the power of the people, of Sudan, would take precedence. And for me, I think this should be a strong message sent to the entire continent. I think Africans are just so tired, of rulers such as this particular one, and there are so many others, who are still, sticking, onto power. Of course, for personal reasons, and to protect themselves, from every other wrong thing that they have done, and all that they have stolen, from their own people. And I think this should be a wake up call for the entire Africa. And Africans should know and really believe that they, as citizens, are just that powerful. If they decide today you're out and you're really out. So I think that going forward, for me, the military should not, sit on that chair for 2 years.
That's another danger too, right?
That's another danger, sitting right there. And I'm thinking that they should have a transition moment, to pave way for an democratically elected rulership in this country. But 2 years again is too long, and might take us back to the same old things that they're trying to fix.
Now, I like what the Standard has done on page 6. It gives us an outline from the 1980s. A career army officer, al-Bashir, assumes a leading role in the war against rebels, all the way to 1989, when Sudan legislators draft a new constitution that lifts a ban on political parties. Then it goes down to the whole issue with ICC in 2009, and all the way till April the 11th, when the unfortunate happened to his regime. What do you think about this outline, this timeline that giving us an accurate, or painting us a picture of his leadership through the years?
I think that is a very good journalistic research, because it shows exactly what the reader would be interested in. Who is this Omar al-Bashir? The people who were born 20 years ago, and they wouldn't really know who was Omar al-Bashir. And I think this is good. But having said that, look at what is causing revolution in Sudan. The price of bread. Then I try to compare with my country, where corruption is a song that we sing every day. The president stand in a podium and reprimand his corrupt ministers, and nothing happens. We have got majority of these citizens are youths, young people. And look at the person leading that revolution in Sudan. Allah Salah, a lady who is 22 years old, engineering student. And listen, in this country, majority of the people who are unemployed are young people. These are the people that will feel a rally on a Monday when everyone is at work. These are the people who will sing Tialala, Tibim, Kumira, Kumira, Turaku, and do all sorts of things and dance on the podium for the politicians. But they cannot lead a revolution while their country is dying. In fact, there's no very big difference with what the youths in Sudan are suffering from and from what we're suffering from in Kenya.
For them it will be bread, as maize,
Exactly. The cost of living. That is what is happening. But I'm not saying that we should go the revolution way, because we are a constitutional country. We are a country that is governed by the rule of law. But what I'm saying is we now need to take our space. The young people need to take their space and participate in politics actively, so that we can change what we don't want. And that's what the Sudanese have done. But what is interesting is who is now in control, the military. If you look at all these African countries where the leaders are called strongmen, they have got a military background. That means when they got into power, they got that power through overthrowing somebody.
Military force,
so that is the challenge. And when that power goes back to the military again, as she has said, it is another risk. In fact, nothing much has changed in Sudan. It can even be worse.
Yes.
We must now have a democratically elected leadership in Sudan. And I hope the EU and AU are watching, and they should give a statement towards that, because we cannot allow the military to rule that country again for another 2 years.
That's what they say. So let's wait and see. They say it will be a 2-year military rule and then followed by an election. That is the promise. Only time will tell which way the politics of that country would head. I'm moving over to you, Ms. Betty Adera. Looking at The Nation, page 2, we have an interesting headline right here. It said, Esther Arunga looked bewitched before her son's death, court is told. Do you think that this story has been beaten to death? I mean, should we still be talking about Esther Arunga and her life, and of course the unfortunate turnout of that life?
For me, I think the story of Esther Arunga is one story that was quite, unfortunate, and I felt for her as a mother myself. When you lose your own child. Yes. But I think for Esther, she needs to be given the space and the privacy. To lead her life in whatever manner she really needs to, and I think that the kind of things that Esther might be asking for Kenyans right now is what? Privacy. Like, pray for me, but leave me alone, give me my privacy. I have my life, you have yours. Give me the space to deal with mine. If I need help, I will say the kind of help I need, and I will, of course, look for it.
But having been a public figure, one would argue that it is right that we all inform the nation of what's happening to her life. She's a Kenyan, she's abroad, she's going through difficulties. She was once a very public figure, beloved to her viewers. Do you think this justifies the continuous coverage of her, her life?
We agree. I totally agree that she was a public figure, probably, still is, while she's not, in Kenya. But how many other people go through the same things that Esther, Arunga has gone through? And I'm thinking that for me, if I were Esther, what would I want to happen? I would want just people to let me be. I think that for me is the main thing. And I think for us as a people that we need to learn from what happened to her, and figure out ways in which we can put things in order in our own lives, so that as you're rising up, into fame, then you have support systems to keep you up there and just stay there. It was quite unfortunate what she went through up to the point in her marriage and up to the point of losing,
she lost her child,
her own child. That was quite tragic in a foreign land. You're being taken, by the police, being questioned around circumstances that led to the death of your own child, and now a statement here that is talking about she looked bewitched. Really?
I know.
That is not sensitive.
In the defense of the press, they're just reporting what was said. So perhaps this is verbatim. It's not made up. Probably this is what was said, but I do agree with you on the element of privacy. But then, this is Kenya, and this is how we do things sometimes. Similarly, on the same page, an unfortunate incident, the one that you thought should have been on the front page, Mr. Okango's sorrow as varsity students bid farewell to their slain comrade. It's being given considerable priority on The Nation as well as on The Standard on page 10, but it's on the lower side of page 10 alongside another story of yet another murder. So this week we would say there have been a lot of murders hitting the headlines of young,
look at
presently, let's say.
There's been quite a lot from the Keino lady to date. And if you look at the trend of their deaths, they're related. There is a man involved, and the lady dies.
Young,
and there's money
promising,
involved. And the brutal death also points to a frustration level by the alleged killer. Because how do you explain the fact that it is only the woman that is dying?
Yes.
And this is a relationship between a man and a woman. There is an attempt to portray, the way the media has put it, in fact, there's an attempt to make the boy child a very frustrated man. And it could be true. And this boils back to the morality. You see, morals are not taught in classroom.
Nope.
Morals are taught at home and in your upbringing. Or church. And if you listen to the story of this gentleman, and the media today is saying allegedly killed, while the report was shown in public, and
he did
killed.
kill,
He
yeah.
actually did kill.
Yeah, everything points to kill.
He told the mom that he was getting frustrated with this girl. Look at the story of Sharon.
Yes.
Look at the story of Keno. I mean, what I'm trying to say is the young people at their prime age, some of them, their career is just taking off. They die a miserable death. They die a death that is no one would want anyone to die for, even if it was your worst enemy. But I think as a country, we need to learn. And it boils back to leadership. Because this gentleman apparently sent 14,000 for birthday.
14,000, that's another thing.
Then there's also unconfirmed reports that he had bought this lady a BMW. If it is true, if it isn't true, then he was really struggling to keep this relationship. But listen, what I'm saying is our leadership must now look at the youth as a time bomb, because most of them are dying trying to be what they wanted to be or what they would have loved to be at that time when they should be really progressive.
But I would argue that this is a 25-year-old girl and a 29-year-old.
All of them are young.
They have no business buying each other BMWs, in my opinion. First of all.
That argument is okay, but listen, the Constitution of Kenya defines who is an adult. And if you look at them, we would argue all of them that they are adults.
Technically, they are adults, but
they are adults who have decided to do what they were doing, and the parents knew. Now, the question is, if we are going to live with such a condition, then maybe the government should now think and look at ways of supporting the young people so that they don't go into frustration to an extent that they kill each other. Because this is frustration. Majority of the young people in this country are jobless. 70%. I read, I attended the launch of post-election report, ABC post-election evaluation report. And I was surprised that out of the 19 million voters, over 61% were young people. It means these are people who are able to make a decision to be led by fellow young people. But look where their energy is taking them. Their energy is taking them to hacking others. Their energy is taking them to dating politicians who will at the end mess their life, and so on and so forth. So I think there is just, we are missing the priority here. Yes.
But at the end of the day, I'm going to give you a chance in just a minute. I don't think anything justifies killing someone, whether you're jobless. I mean, there's millions of jobless youth. So for you to pick up an axe or a knife and hack your, whatever the reason, birthday parties, money, jobs. I mean, at the end of the day, we need to go down, aside from government. I feel like parents, the church, even academia needs to look down at all the students and the young people.
And even the public. If you remember, Trix, the social media, out of the mainstream media, the justification for the death, it was
unacceptable.
Terrible. It was unacceptable. And in fact, there were also allegations of certain diseases. I mean, we cannot go that way. And I think here, two institutions, the media must steer this discussion with the facts and the truth as is. The police must now also control on the investigations and keep updating the public on what steps they have taken, so that this story can take its natural course. But if we leave it to speculation to the public, then we risk even damaging the families and so on and so forth.
Okay, Betty, could you tell us your opinion on this story?
First and foremost, I want to strongly, condemn the brutal murder of Ivy, and just wish that as fellow Kenyans, we could allow Ivy's family the privacy, to mourn her and finally lay her to rest, and also urge the investigative, apparatus to speed up, investigations and bring the person or persons, concerned to book. Now, for me, this is a worrying trend. I made a post on the same, on Twitter, and you will not believe the kind of responses I got. It appeared to be now a contest, of men versus women.
Do you think it points to us having a misogynistic society? Do we hate women?
I think
do men hate women in Kenya?
There's something we are missing out. And you can see the anger from the young men was like, when we work so hard and raise 14K and give you, what were you thinking?
First of all,
what were you thinking? 14K, I have sweated, I have done what. Going back to, like my colleague is saying, the Sharon case, for instance, there was a lot of narrative that went like, Why are you mourning? Why are you weeping over someone who died in prostitution? A woman is dead.
Thank you.
Somebody's daughter is dead. Somebody's mother is dead. A young budding doctor who has been trained for 6 years, for heaven's sake, you know, is dead. And for me, I think we need to go back to the basics and ask ourselves, Iko nini, what is
where did the rain start
this young
beating
specific man, the parents are shocked at that.
They did not
Could
see it
he
coming.
do that? They didn't. It's like you don't know your child anymore, or what is it that is making, you know, people like, you know, just snap, you know, and think about procuring a meter-long machete, and you're carrying it, I don't know in what and how,
axe.
and you actually just like, I think we need to go back to the basics and have a real conversation around what really is going on. Mental issues, I think, are real, and young people are really, you know, being affected by it. Pressures are so high, unemployment is real, and it is hurting young people, both boys and girls, both male, you know, and female. And I think it's a higher time as a country that we held that higher level conversation, or in terms of what really is going on with our young people, because these are the futures of these are the leaders of today and also of the future.
And of course, there's a similar. Oh, you had
just to add on, there's a very uncomfortable discussion that we need to have as the people of Kenya. This conversation of women dating men for money and men dating women for money, because if we cannot have that conversation in our discussion in the morals, then it will be an excess in futility, because all these stories, they boil down to somebody demanding for something from the other so that they can meet their daily lives. And that way, that somebody feels, either of the party feels that I was extorted, I was misused, and there's somebody enjoying the benefits of this.
And therefore I should kill them. I mean, it also points to mental
It doesn't
problems.
justify the killing. It doesn't, because that's why I say the media and the police should now really be at the forefront. But at the discussion level, we really need to look at this. You know, there's been this word in town, in the lingo, called slay queen. And if you look at it keenly, originally the word slay queen was not a very bad word.
It was supposed to empower young ladies,
but
not
today,
to put them down.
It has been misused, and it has been branded to certain clique of ladies that this is what they do. I think we need to
And there was
that.
also a post online that says, please do not reduce this lady to a slay queen.
Correct.
She was a medical student. She was praised as a very nice lady. Some of her patients, when she was doing her practice, said she was a very good doctor. She was caring. She had made it all the way to the 7th year. And whatever happened between these two young people does not diminish her as a human being.
Absolutely.
And therefore,
Absolutely.
we should
She has
not.
a name.
Yeah, she has a name.
Absolutely.
So we should not diminish her to that term of slay queen. And also, like you said, it's good to remember that slay queen did not come up as a derogatory word. It is not for loose women. It was actually supposed to empower women to be queens, to be comfortable in their bodies, to be proud of. You're slaying, you know. Career-wise, it wasn't actually about looks only. It was about your career, what you're accomplishing, what you're going for, your goals. So, I mean, it's really sad what it has turned into. But let's take a look at another story. Danson Mungatana's woes, because he was arrested yesterday, and this made it to our top on the Daily Nation. It was teased on the front page. Mungatana faces accusations of stealing 51 million. Is this an indicator of that war on graft that we have been promised for the past I don't know how many weeks? Is this an indication that things are now getting rolling?
No. Trix, let me tell you.
Yes.
If there is something that has failed in this country, is the fight against theft of public money. It has terribly failed. Today, we are talking of billions that have been misappropriated. There's one report I keep referring to, and our party has been very strong on it. We say the Auditor General has the mandate, constitutional mandate, Article 229, to audit all the books of the government, and they give their report with the recommendation. The government has never taken seriously the work of the Auditor General. I applaud what the DCI has been doing, the ODPP has been doing, fantastic job. But we have recommended, and in our bill we have proposed, that the first piece of evidence in any corruption case should be the Auditor General report, because it reveals how much was misappropriated by you and when and what to be done. Number two, if you look at some of these cases, they are tip of iceberg in what is happening in the counties. In the counties, the county chiefs themselves, how much have they amassed from the public coffers? How much? Quite. This is nothing. But I agree with what the media is saying.
Maybe it's just the beginning. Might
it's not
be
the beginning.
In the general.
We started this thing long time ago, and this is a wheel that is not turning. We are stuck at one point. When the president was giving his State of the Nation address,
just the other day,
mood